This time the quick speed shop, check it out. I'm sitting in some free seats I found. I'm trying to get an interior, put in my Willys Jeep pickup. Also doing a little bit of body work, and it's all happening right now at the quick speed shop. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Okay, so I got some new stuff here. I was out in the junkyard again, continuing on like last time when I got some Econoline grill parts, and let me show you what I got. One thing I do have is I got a new GoPro Hero9, and I'm waiting for the media mod to show up that's going to have a microphone on it. But I'm going to try filming on this for a little bit. I know that like Dan from DD Speed Shop and Brent from Half-Ass Customs, they just do pretty much stuff with GoPros. So I've just got a standard like camera setup right now on a tripod. So I'm gonna try to get a little closer up with this GoPro. It's got like the screen on the front, screen on the back, and when I get the media mod on it, it'll have a bigger microphone. So I always like the wide angle of the GoPro, but the sound is always terrible on it. So hopefully this new one will have better sound. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to show you and film on this and try to see if I can film the stuff up over here and see what it looks like. All right, bam, here I am. I'm live on the GoPro now. And let's go ahead and look what I got here. I went back to my junkyard, and I've got some more Econoline stuff. If you saw last time, I'm backdating my '88 Ford Econoline van to the round headlight style grills. And while I was there, I figured I would grab a bunch that I could find. And this key to doing this is you need the grill, which is hard to find. Now these are all smashed here. These are three. I found a stash of buses where there was like 5 buses. And they had 460s in them, and somebody pulled all the motors out of the buses and junked them. And they threw all the parts in the back, and they pretty much smashed the grills. But I got these 3 for parts to fix my other grills. I got 3 mint grills before in the video before this. They're in nice shape and just need 1 or 2 little bars replaced. So these are primarily for parts, but I couldn't see leaving them there because they just end up in the crusher with the buses eventually. So I grabbed these for parts. I'll throw those up in the attic for later. But the secret here is you need the core support, because if you're putting in the round headlight grill, this is different than the square headlight Econolines. Have the square hole up here, and they've got a turn signal hole down here. And you need the core support piece, which this is the fender bolts on here, and then there's a bolt-on core support piece across here, and then this dips down like into the frame behind the bumper. But you need this sheet metal here. Now these are all a little bit rough. They're all rough around here. They all rust here. But I essentially only need this sheet metal right here for this hole. So I'm going to cut these out and graft this section in to my existing core support when I do this boogie van project. But in the meantime, these vans have gone away in New York State where I am at. They're mostly rusted away. And this junkyard I go to has a stash of old stuff. And they've got these. So I'd say I got 1, 2.5 out of the buses. The other ones are pretty rusty, but I went and I pulled the best set out. So I got 1 set, 2 sets, and then a third half. This one was smashed on this side. So I got all this stuff here. I got these pieces here, and it's gonna be parts I'm looking for. I've got enough 3 good grills, and I bought some valances online. Apparently they haven't showed up yet, but the lower valance where the turd signals are, you can get that for $20 online. So I bought 3 of them just to have. So now I've got 3 complete grill setups and enough to do 2.5 conversions if I ever do multiple vans. But the parts are hard to find. They only made the vans from 75 to 78 with the round headlights. You know, out in California or out south in the desert, I'm sure they're all over the place. But here in New York State, those vans rusted away 15 years ago. So I'm trying to collect the parts and pieces I can find. So anyways, bam, got a whole pile of rusty junk here. Yeah, so there we go, like parts and pieces, things I need. And I'm just going to go ahead and stash this stuff away for now. I think we're going to work on the red Jeep over here. I think I'm going to, oh, there's my other camera. I think we're going to work on the red Jeep here. Start working on around the windshield frame and stuff, doing the rust converter on that. And I got a set of bucket seats I actually picked up on the side of the road somebody's thrown out. I'm not sure what they're out of. They looks like maybe minivan, but they got like airbags inside of them, so I don't know what they're out of. But They're a pair of tan buckets that I'm going to put in this thing, make a framework. So I think we're going to start working on that while this windshield frame stuff is drying. So we'll go ahead and take a closer look at that here right now. Alright, in the Jeep here, what we got here is I got my floor I built. I restored this a couple years ago. It's like an amateur restoration just to put this thing back together because it was so horrendous. I mean, you can see my spot welds here. This thing was literally like rotted off up into here. I made new cab corners from here down. All this was gone. Everything, all these floorboards, all this, I made all this here. These bead rolls way up into here. You can see the seam here. This whole thing had no floors, no cab supports, nothing. The doors, the cab was collapsing. I made it all the way over into here, all the way up to the bottom of the pedals, and pretty much up into here. Made all this stuff from scratch. It was horrendously shot. I actually done a video on that. You can check that out on this. I got some videos on this Jeep. But I just been driving it around. I got this vinyl little bus seat just thrown in here. It's not wide enough to go across all the way. It was just a half bus seat. So back here in this pile of junk, I've got some bucket seats. Like I said, I found on the side of the road, and they should work good. So this thing was a family heirloom. I actually learned how to drive on it when I was 13 years old. And my dad and I used to haul firewood on it. What in the world is going on back here? Some kind of huge fly in the light. I'm filming! Come on, man! Anyways, so I did a real quick just amateur restoration. This thing's not going to be a show vehicle. It's not going down the road. I just use it around my property, puttering around, and I wanted to save it. So it was red originally. I went and I brush painted on some red enamel, and I can see this here. It looks good from 5 feet away. I mean, you can see the brush strokes in the paint when you get up close, but it doesn't matter. I just wanted to have the thing look like it was a cool old Jeep from 10 feet away. So I slapped some red enamel on there, which I didn't do around the windshield yet. This thing had a ton of rot up in here. I had actually made a new windshield header out of some box tubing, welded it up in there, and when I put the glass back in, there's a strip between the piece, 2 flat pieces of glass here. I've got to continue to make this lip around here. I'll bend up a piece and just spot weld it to the bottom of this for the windshield to fit on. But I was going to get my sandblaster out and sandblast all this around here, but now it's winter again, and the sandblaster's not running. I got issues with it. It hasn't run in about 5 years. I got that from my dad before he passed away, and he hadn't run it in a couple years before that, so actually it's been like 6 or 7 years now. So what I want to try out is, I want to try out some Eastwood rust encapsulator and rust converter. So this stuff, apparently, I've used it a little bit before. It seems to work pretty decent. So you can like spray it out. It's kind of like clear, and then it turns the rust black. So I'm going to wire wheel this up here a little bit here to clean it up a little bit. We're going to spray on the rust converter, let it sit for like a day or two. And then this rust encapsulator is like a silver paint that will go over the rust converter and kind of like lock in the rust that's here. I mean, we're talking like surface rust to medium rust here. There's no holes in this, but I just want to get it sealed up before the rubber goes on. Then I'll paint this red here and paint it all up red with paint. So, if I was doing a $100,000 restoration on a real nice car that, somebody's going to pay a lot of money for, obviously I would sandblast this to do it the right way. But I think for a Jeep that I literally have no money in and just sits around the property, I think using the rust converter and the rust encapsulator around this windshield frame is going to be fine. I mean, I like the thing that I didn't really even body work it. I just kind of like welded patch panels in and kind of metal finished it. It's definitely not straight. I mean, I made my own rocker panels and floorboards and cab corners. It's just preservation. It's not restoration. It was just good enough to get this thing back together. I mean, painted with the brush and painted red, the thing looks pretty mint from a few feet away. It looks like it's like a brand new Jeep. So it's way more than good enough what I'm doing. I mean, obviously the roof is all wrinkled up and stuff, but what I want to do is just get the glass in it, get it close to the point of being done so I can just finish up the doors at some future point. Speaking of the doors, this is the original logo. This truck was a gasoline service station vehicle when it was new for Stalder's Atlantic Service in Owego, New York. And I found the original logo. There had been painted over with red paint when it was sold in the 70s, early 70s. And then it ended up with like paint and damage and rust and black paint stuff. So I was able to strip this off with a razor blade and maintain like 90% of the original logo. So I got a sign painter friend. He's going to touch this side up for me and then recreate it on the other door on the other side. And we'll have I want to put it back to original. But I'm going to go ahead and paint all this red, sand all this down and paint all this red. The door is kind of monkeyed up here on the top. It doesn't close right because of the damage of the cab here. It doesn't really close right, but I've got it to function. It was welded shut for like 30 years, so I've got the door to actually function pretty nice. So I just got to repair the bottom and then get it ready for the logo touch-up. But got a little bit of rust here. I'm going to wire wheel this and throw some converter on. That's probably a rot hole there, but I'm not going to worry about that. But the cowl and stuff, just going to get the last bit of this cleaned up and go from there. All right, I got all the loose rust knocked off. I think what I'm going to do is put on the dual action sander and just kind of rough up where it transitions, just kind of get the transition going here down to, actually I have DA'd this already, it looks like. I'm going to rough it up and get it cleaned up a little bit around here first, get it smoothed out a little bit, and then it'll be ready to put the rust converter on. That's going to be dusty, so I'm going to back the cameras up a little bit, but I'll get the DA out and just hit it a little bit. Okay, so I got it DA down. I used 80 grit. You can see I kind of feathered some of these spots a little bit. With the brushed on paint, you're never going to see them when it gets brushed on there. But I wired it good. I got some pinholes back here behind the... back here I'm not concerned about. I'm just going to fill those up with paint. But... you know, I got it DA'd down here enough. It's cleaned up. So now I'm going to take the Eastwood rust converter and I'm going to spray it just on the rusty part. If you get it on shiny metal, it doesn't do anything to it. And actually doesn't even really even dry. You can wipe it off. So I can concentrate on the rusty metal. And then I'm going to give it like a day to dry. And then I can come and wipe it off any shiny metal and put the encapsulator. I'm probably going to encapsulate this whole thing. Paint right over all this with the rust encapsulator to get all these little spots. But for now, I'm just going to take the converter, and it comes out clear, just kind of like it on there. Ready? Here we go. Just going to put a couple of shiny coats on here, and it'll turn black when it sets up to show that it converted the rust. But you can see here, I kind of fogged it here to the rust stops, and I didn't get too much on the shiny metal because I'll have to wipe that off later because it won't really cure. Okay, got it sprayed on there. Here it's nice and wet, but you can see here it's already starting into a little fine rust. I think it's already starting to work a little bit at kind of darken that up. But you can see here it's still pretty wet. We got a good wet coat on there. With the furnace on, it'll blow air. It'll blow on this, and it'll keep it it'll sealed up good. But I sprayed all around the rust that was around the cowl vent here. Got that good. And then these seams down here where the body panels come together, hit them. So I think it's going to be good here overnight. I'll let it sit up with the furnace on. And then in the morning, or in the midday, hit it with the rust encapsulator. And hopefully that'll seal this up nice and get this thing so I can put the windshield back in it here sooner rather than later. All right, so this is looking good here. It's been... I don't know, 12, 14 hours, and it's setting, the converter's set right up. You can see the black's turned here, the little bit deeper pits, it's turned like whitish black, or well, black with some white around it, but it should be setting up. It seems to be pretty good. It's tacky where it gets on this red paint, so I gotta take a rag and wipe that off because it won't adhere to the paint. But the conversion part seems to be going good, and then I'm going to do a little bit of creative masking, and I think I'm going to take that encapsulator and just encapsulate the bare metal parts. It says not to use it over paint, and I don't want to grind all the paint off this with the DA I got. I'll just hit it around here where the windshield's going to be. That should be good enough for the encapsulator, and I'll hit it around the cowl vent. I actually took it out to be able to get it to this better and paint it better. All right, these are those seats I picked up. I have no idea what they're out of. They had headrests on them. I threw those away because I didn't need them for one of the short buckets to be in here below the back window. They match side to side, like the controls are on this side. It's got adjustments here. It's got a pop-out lumbar support. They're actually real comfortable. You sit on here and you gotta flip this lever on the side and they give you some lumbar action. That's cool. Then this knob raises and lowers the seat bottom. There's some other stuff. It's got a built-in seat belt on one side, but none on the other side. Then airbags. An airbag on this side, so it's like they're two. It's like the two driver's side seats, but I don't have any idea what they came out of. It's got a TRW seat belt. I think these will be nice to put in there, nice to sit on, and best of all, they're free. If it's free, it's for me. So let's wrestle these up in here and see what they look like. It's kind of tall. Uh-oh. Is this going to be a problem? Thing is kind of tall. Well. Dang. These might be too tall to use in here. I mean, it's comfortable. It's just puts the steering wheel a little bit low. And this thing's not going down the road. It's just for puttering around in the yard, so it's not like it's got to be comfortable for hours at a time. I don't know if I want to go doing a whole ton of fabrication to make these things work and have to eliminate all this nonsense on the bottom. Of course, I don't really need all the nonsense if they could just sit flat, but it seems kind of complicated. Now, if I took everything off, the seat might just kind of flail around and not be real, I don't know. Okay, prepare to have your mind blown. Check this out. Full width leather interior seats, rear seat, and check this out. The lower section pivots to open up to my storage section on each side. Holy crap, this is awesome. I forgot I had this stashed. This is the rear seat out of that Jeep Grand Cherokee I parted out last like March. This is leather, and it's the it's the rear seat, so the back would fold down so you could haul stuff, and then these flip up and there's storage. The bottom part of the seat would flip up, and then the seat would fold down. That's how the seat worked in the Jeep. But it works perfectly for the inside of this Jeep. It's got mounts that I can bolt right to the floor, and then the seat bottoms have these hinges on them here, which will bolt with a little bit of a little spacer. Will bolt right to the front of the seat shelf. And let me see if I can line this back up here. And it fits, it works perfect, it sits perfect. Because the back is so low, the headrests don't come up above the window very much, so it's super awesome. And it's really, really comfortable. This thing fits like a glove in here. It's super, super comfortable. And it's going to be awesome because now I can get to my storage on both sides, no problem. All I got to do is drill that front seat riser, put in like a 1/2-inch spacer. Those feet with the hinges will bolt right to the front of the seat riser. Then I'll be able to flip both half of the seats to get to my storage. The back will screw right down and just stay upright like this because the feet have a locking mechanism over here by the headrest. And the headrest actually provides a little bit of support so you don't bash your head on the window. This is super trick. I'm glad I saved these. I almost didn't pull them out, but I pulled out the leather interior. I'm actually putting the front buckets in my buggy van because they're power leather to match this, and they're going to be super comfortable in the front of the van. But I saved this. Usually I don't save rear seats because they're all goofy, like with the wheel well cutouts and all that. But this one works out awesome. And I even got a seat for the center here. So that's what I'm going to put in here. This leather interior is going right in this Jeep. It's awesome. It's super comfortable. It's going to work out great. So I've had these stored in the back of my van just because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. And you know the saying, don't trash it when you can stash it. Bam, they came in awesome. 10 months later, they're going right in this Willys Jeep, and I'm going to have a super awesome leather interior that's functional and comfortable. That's what I'm talking about. Holy crap, this is awesome. Check it out. I got it all bolted down. Ready? You got your seats in here. And then ready when you want to get to the storage under here, just pull up on here, just like factory. Look at that. The factory hinges bolt right to the front of this. I can get to my chain. I can get to my straps. You can actually fold this down if you want to get behind the seat to do anything. I can store some stuff back here. Then I'm done. Just flip that up. Bam, look at that. Same thing on the driver's side. I got my seat here. I want to get under here. I got the storage container down, storage area down here. And then it flips back down there. Check this out. Oh man, this is super comfortable. There's room for 2 ladies here on the leather. Bam, it's a win. The rust converter is all dried and turned all black here. Now I'm going to use the rust encapsulator and just going to coat anywhere where it's bare metal and has the converter on it. This will seal it all up in nice. And I'm just going to lightly mist it on here, not going to get too carried away. Nice. So I can just let this first coat tack up and I'll put another coat on it here. But this should lock all the rust converter and the rust in here and make a real nice permanent seal. Then I'll just scuff all this and hit it with my primer and my enamel top coat. And actually this gray can be used for a primer. But I got some bare spots here that are rusty, so I'm just hit this with some rail-can primer just to put primer on all this. And then I'm going to put my brushed on red enamel over the top of it all. But it should seal it up and make a good seal for what I want to do here. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit the bell for alerts. Tell your friends and we'll see you right back here at the Quick Speed Shop, sitting on leather in old rusty Jeeps.